Hello, welcome to Unit 3. This week we'll be focusing on Chapter 3 and the assessment plan. To get to the files, simply click on the Unit 3 folder. Inside you'll find the Unit 3 presentation, which covers the chapter and assessment plan. You will also find a file about technology that supports assessment. This is a good resource to give you some ideas about how you can use technology to support assessment. Finally, you will find the link to all the assignments and quiz. Notice that at the top we have the assignment in blue and a template. You will type your assignment directly onto this template. Do not use any other templates when you are typing your assignment. Below that, there is a link to a program called iRubric. If you took 2040, you have used this program before. If not, you can log in and create an account. It is a simple way to make a rubric making process much easier than typing one up in MS Word, because it just instantly builds a nice rubric for you. Below that, there's a resource on how to get your link into your assessment plan. I'll just show you how to do that. That's very simple. And then there's your Chapter 3 quiz. Alright, I've already opened the template, so I'm going to go on over to what I have. Here is an assessment plan template. You'll notice at the top you would just write your name and then the title of your unit. These are all things that are from your unit map. So you could even go back and highlight, copy. I'm pressing Control C to copy quickly, and come back in, get into the right spot, make a space, and paste. Control V. Let me bring that up. I can just type in the grade level. Alright, next you'll notice that you're to list standards. So these are the standards you've already selected from the unit map. So I'm going to delete the italics directions, and I'm going to go and get them. So let me scroll down and get the standards. Looks like I've got 2 standards here. I'm going to highlight them. I like how they're nicely listed with the letters and numbers and then the wording, so that we know what the standard is all about. And go back over to this one and paste. I can pull those together to make it look neat. So you'll just go and get all of your standards, including your technology standards. You could categorize them if you would like, health standards together, technology standards together, to make it a little bit more organized. Next, you're going to put a description of your project and a link to your rubric. So I'm going to get rid of the directions now that I know that. I can always go and download the template again if I forgot the directions. Let's see if I can get back over to the left. Oops, I got off of that somehow. So I'm just going to go on left, and I don't want it to be italics. And go over to my unit map. And go up here where I have a description of the final project. Here we go. I'm going to copy it and paste it right in there. Now notice how this description of the project talks about ways the students are using technology. They're making a video and they're going to write a 1-page paper. Now what would be even more descriptive, and I think I've told some of you this, is that you could even mention they're going to write a paper in Microsoft Word, or they're going to make a video using iMovie. And the more specific you are about how you're using technology in your summative assessment, the better your assignment is going to be when I'm examining it to me. So let's see, I'm going to go now and get the link to the rubric. I opened an account on iRubric, and as you can see, I'm logged in to the program. I clicked on My Rubrics, and then I have a list of some rubrics I was making just for fun. They're not really completed, but to show the program. Let me click on one, and here it is. And to get the link, if this rubric were considered done, to get this into the other file, you just go over here where it says URL. Select the whole thing, make sure it's all blue. You can get in there and press Control A to double check, and then copy it and go back on over, paste it, and hit enter, and it goes live. So that's how you'll do it. Make sure your link works before you pass it in. You can do that by just holding down the control key and testing it out. Notice my web browser's launching, and here I am in the rubric. Now for this one, it is not done, but let's just take a little look at it. Notice how we have no attempt, which is worth 0 points, and then we go up to some different categories here. So this one's needs revision, 1 point. And then we have developing, 2 points. Average, I put, I guess, 5 points. That must be, no, it's 3 points. And then 4 points for excellent. And what you'll do is you'll just list every aspect of your project. So if the students are making a story, and you had a standard about they had to identify the beginning, the middle, the end, you could make a little category here. Identify the beginning, middle, and end of the story, or whatever that was. And then you describe what is excellent if they did that, what is average, in complete detail. And then developing, I have not described here yet. And needs revision, what would that be? Okay? And then no attempt means they did not try at all. They left it blank or just did not hand it in. And what you'll do is you'll just come up with different categories for everything that is going to be in your assignment. Now just so you can see, I'm going to click over here, edit on my rubric. Oh, it wants me to log in. So I can do that. Again, okay. Okay. See how simple this is to use? When you're in the edit mode, you simply just type in these boxes and fill in all the information for your rubric. Up here, information about your unit. Down here, if you need to build more rows, you could add a row. And it just keeps adding on. Adding on. And then over here, if you need more columns, the same. Add. It's a good idea to have at least 5 columns in any rubric, otherwise it may not give the students a fair assessment of what they've done. Whenever you're done working on your rubric, remember there is a save button. And your rubric should be ready to use, and it should be available for anybody in the gallery so that I can see it. So I'm just going to hit save, and I'm going to go back over to what we were doing over here. Alright, looking back to our assessment plan. Go back over. Okay, we've filled out the top part. Imagine you had really filled out all those standards. I'm not going to get them all. But now, at the bottom, we have the 4 lessons that you had planned out. And we just have to put in our lesson objectives. So I can go get those. We've already finished that part. So just go here. It looks like I have the objectives right here, 2 objectives, which were based on the standards. It's just a rephrase of the standards in a format where we're saying students will be able to, and it's a little more specific and personal to our project. Sometimes the standards are very broad and they could be applied to lots of different projects, but the objectives are a little bit more personalized, and that's why we're writing those. Okay, so here are the objectives we've got. The students will become familiarized with the issues of obesity today, and the students will learn ways to prevent obesity. So that's what we're going to do when we do this lesson. This PowerPoint lesson. So you're going to be designing a PowerPoint lesson to teach the student these objectives. Okay? Now, whenever we design a lesson, you want to have a formative assessment or some type of mini assessment in there. And with these technology lessons, what we're going to probably have are things like mini quizzes where you ask the students to basically answer a few questions. So in the PowerPoint lesson, actually, you're going to be required to have some quizzes. So for this one, maybe a mini quiz is going to be the best choice. Okay, so you just write that in. Your assessment strategy is going to be a mini quiz. And maybe I'll say a mini quiz and write a sentence about it. a mini quiz in which the students will be asked, 5 questions, maybe 5 questions about obesity. And its prevention. Okay, if I could type a little bit better, this would be good. Prevention. Okay. All right. Next, what's the strategy for evaluating this? Well, I said it was 5 questions, so maybe each question will be worth 1 point. That's a pretty straight up way to evaluate a quiz. Now let's go do the Prezi lesson, because I don't want everything to be a quiz for every single lesson. So sometimes if you're, say you're giving them a Prezi lesson, and that's where it's a zooming presentation, in the end, instead of giving them a quiz because it's not able to really make an interactive quiz, what you could do is you could give them a question to go write in their journal about, or a list of questions to write the answers to on a piece of paper, and tell them at the end of the lesson, now take out a piece of paper and write your answers down. Something like that. So let's see what the objective was for Prezi. Let's go down there. Okay, the students will be able to calculate the total. Alright, let me go grab, wow, we have a lot of objectives here. So we're going to have a few questions, because we have to assess them all. And remember, a formative assessment, when you're viewing the presentation, you'll see this, it's just a mini assessment. It's not like the whole project or a really big thing. It should be worth a fraction of what your whole rubric is valued at for the big project. Alright, so the students will be able to calculate the total amount of calories. They're going to calculate calories. They're going to learn how to read food labels. They're going to understand how different types of food can impact the body. And they are going to compare and contrast healthy versus non-healthy food menu. Alright, so it looks like we're doing a lot of things in this lesson. This is going to be one long Prezi. So what you would do is go up here, and maybe for the reading of the food label and calculating calories, you could say students will be presented with a picture of a food label. You could actually scan one in and import it into your Prezi. You spell that right? They will be asked to find the calories and calculate, and then just come up with some type of challenge where it's going to have them practice calculating whatever it is that you taught them in this lesson. Okay, I'm just going to put a ... so that can be done later. And then down here, the students are going to identify how different types of foods can impact the body and compare and contrast healthy food to make a menu. You could say, at the end of the lesson, students will be asked to create, maybe they're going to create or fill in the blank for a menu. How about they'll be shown a menu? I don't know. Let's see. Shown a menu with healthy and unhealthy food. If I could type it, that would be good. They will be asked to, here's an idea. They will be asked to remove all unhealthy food food from the menu and print it out. Maybe what you're going to do is attach a Microsoft Word file with a menu with some healthy things and some unhealthy things, and they have to go in and delete all of the unhealthy things. I don't know. It's up to you. You can get creative with these assignments. But remember, if you're going to ask them to do something that includes downloading something, you'd have to actually create that. So, or if you showed them a picture, you're going to actually find that picture. So it's going to create a little bit more of a task for you. And then over here, we could look at how we're going to evaluate this. So the students will be presented with a picture. So maybe this could be worth 3 points. 3 points will be given for calculating the calories correctly. And then down here, you can come up with a strategy, just a few points, maybe 5. Maybe there are 5 unhealthy foods on this menu. So 5 unhealthy foods will be on the menu, and 1 point will be given for each one that is removed or accurately. So basically, you're just deciding what kind of little assignment you're going to give them in this lesson, and then how you're going to grade it. Now, what you want to keep in mind is I have this worth 5 points. I have this worth, this is going to be 8 points. So these assignments are really adding up. And we have this final project here where they're going to make a video, and that's a really big task. So what we're probably going to do is want to make sure the rubric for the video adds up to something like 30, 40 points with all the different things that you're looking for. So if you want, you might even have categories that go 10, 8, 6 instead of 5, 4, 3 on your rubric. So what I mean is over here where we had this rubric, let's go back. Instead of having 4 as the highest, maybe you want to just double that and have 8. And then double that and have that be 6. Just to keep things in perspective, because you want to make sure all their hard work is really paying off, because that's a bigger project. Alright, so now when you're done with all this, one thing that I'd like you to do is just make sure it's all in one font. So to do that, just press Control A, and you can select all of your information, and then just choose one font. I just type it in. Arial is my font. 12. And then notice how this is red. That means it's not all one color either. So I'm going to click on this little arrow and go to black, and something might have been gray or something. I don't know. And now it's all the same. So that is basically, I'm not totally finished with this assessment plan, but we're on our way to finishing once all the standards are in at the top and we finish figuring out what our assignments are going to be. And up here I'd even elaborate a little bit more on how the technology is going to be used, specific ones. I'd write a few more sentences about that at this point as well, because you need to start thinking about how the students are going to be using technology as a tool both for research and then which programs you're going to have them using. Alright, so that is basically how to complete your assessment plan. And one thing to note is that you really want to wait until I grade your unit map before you move on and do this and get a score where I say you are ready and you don't need revision. If I do tell you need revision, it's nothing, a lot of times it's not even that your assignment was horrible. It didn't mean one was a failure. It just meant that there was something on your unit map where you weren't quite ready to move on to the assessment plan. So I wanted to make sure you had everything you needed to be able to do this. So what I'm going to do is, hopefully you're all watching this video and listening. Whenever you get your unit map back, you will have 1 week from that day to get in your assessment plan. So if I didn't grade your unit map last night or today, you will have 1 week from whenever that is to get this assessment plan in. So if I don't get your grade till tomorrow, that means you will have 1 week from Tuesday. If I don't grade you until Wednesday, that means you will have 1 week from Wednesday without being considered late on your assessment plan. And yeah, I really don't, I'm not out to get people on this or whatever. I just really want everybody to have a good unit, and I want to give you all the best feedback that I can give you so you're just on the right track and you don't go down the wrong path early in the class. All right, so if you have any questions, feel free to send me an email or stop by my office hours. If for whatever reason you can't make it to my office hours, there might be a possibility where we can talk on the phone or something like that. If there's a question you just don't understand my answers to your questions by email, sometimes it's better to hear them out loud. So you could always email me and set something like that up as well. All right, have a great night. Take care.